Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Dragon Cave. My name is David, and just gonna couple of things, a little follow up from yesterday. Buttons. Hey, there she is. There's little Button Butts. She's the surviving sister. This is the two of them. The one with a little bent ear right there. That was my Bonnie. She was my dog. Followed me, took her on the road with me for a year. During her first, she was 1 year old. I took her with me, driving cross country. They were litter mates. Buttons back there was my mom's dog, and my mom died 6 months ago, and my stepdad and Bonnie died 2 or 3 days ago now. God, it's crazy. I'm doing a lot better. I've been talking. I notified my therapist about it, and she was proud that I reached out to her, and I was like, well, it's kind of a traumatic event. I'm just dealing with it in the best way that I know how. But it's just me and Buttons now, so we're going to do what we can. And I want to bring this channel. I don't want to mope and complain all the time. So one of the things that was on my mind that I wanted to talk about was this whole election cycle thing. And I suppose it's a good thing that I waited, because boy, has a lot happened. The red wave that was supposed to wash over us didn't actually happen, and it seems like the Republicans are eating themselves alive now and what have you. This seems interesting because this is a good thing. All right, and look, I don't want people to gloat about this. Nobody feels good, when things aren't going your way, and we should welcome a return to sanity, okay? Because the reality is, here in America and in a lot of other places, look, I know America isn't that unique about some of these things, but one of the things that we have here in America is the ability to have these political discussions at all. All right? We can disagree. It's perfectly legal, reasonable, expected, or whatever for us to have difference of opinion and talk it out, and even going crazy as a part of it. It's a feature, not a bug. And I want that. Now, I tend to lean pretty left in my politics on some things. One of these days we'll talk about guns, and you'll see how right-wing I can be about some things, because that's one of the few subjects I tend to veer away from my otherwise liberal friends about, was the gun issue. But that's, I think everybody has something like that. Well, at least here in America, most of the people I know. Now, I live in Georgia, and one of the things I wanted to celebrate, I was like, we had an election. You know what that means? No more freaking campaign ads, no more commercials and all that kind of, it was terrible. Constant, just random text messages. Yeah. Nope. We get them. I still get, Herschel Walker and his folks sending me text messages, be like, we're going to a runoff. Better show up on December for the runoff election. And I'm just like, I thought we were so close. We almost had it. We almost had peace. Now, I'm going to be honest with y'all. I didn't vote. In Georgia, especially here in Atlanta, it was a foregone conclusion. Stacey Abrams was not going to win that. Kemp beat her so much last time. And, I mean, God bless her. Last time she lost, but she just got back into it. And I was like, you know what? You go, girl. She's out there actually trying to make a difference. The problem is she's about as interesting as dry toast. She doesn't actually excite anybody. I think she's refreshingly, I would say refreshingly boring politics. boring. You remember that? Maybe some of y'all don't. Maybe some of y'all are too young to remember this, but there was a time where politics was just boring. And that was great because it didn't mess with you. It didn't invade into your life like it does now. But I've been seeing and hearing about this, this attention economy, and how they're trying to get your attention at every moment at everything. And boy, with politics, doesn't that strike a familiar ring? Because isn't it interesting that the ones that we hear about, I was just seeing something about this today, you never hear about every politician. There's a reason why, AOC and Marjorie Taylor Greene are known to you, but many other politicians, I mean, there's 400 plus House of Representative members out there, probably couldn't even name 5 of them. But that's Miss Abrams' problem, is that she's not she's not down for the crazy stuff. She's not out for that. She's just, showing up and doing her job kind of lady. And I respect that, but this isn't just a resume. I mean, politics today is a popularity contest. And yeah, I mean, if you want to win, it's hearts and minds, not dry politics. That's gonna win. And I looked around at the people who were even remotely interested in this area, and she just wasn't going to be a part of it. Now, it's great. She did so much better. Excuse me. She did so much better than she did last time, but it wasn't enough, obviously. What's depressing, especially here in Georgia, is just how close Walker and Warnock are. That he could be that incompetent and pull that much weight in this state is just embarrassing. Oh gosh. So I didn't get out and vote, but I will be voting in December. It's interesting. A lot of the problems that we face, both economically and socially, and just as a culture in America and whatnot, I don't think they could be solved with politics. I don't think it matters who the president is or who Congress is if many of our personal decisions in life are controlled by economic forces that have, men and women on boards of directors who are not elected by anybody deciding what we do. I mean, YouTube decides what's interesting. Facebook decides what's in your feed. These advertisers decide when you go to the supermarket, what you're going to buy, your brand affinity kind of stuff. Politics doesn't have anything to say about that. And I don't think politics could have anything to say about that. Or more to the point, if we ever thought that politics could have something to say about that, it would be disastrous. It's one of these situations where getting the government involved is probably not the thing we need to be doing here. Getting the government involved in something like, protecting consumers from toxins, like lead in the paint kind of situation. Maybe. It's not that they have a great track record with that. Look at the lead in the water in Flint, Michigan. They still don't even have a viable solution for that. That absolutely is a government problem. But toxic opinions in your Facebook feed, no. This is not something that government's going to elect. I don't think it matters what politicians we put in place. These are the things that are causing people to make the decisions that they make and purchase the things that they purchase and say the things that they say. Social media has brought out this anonymity monster in all of us, it would seem. And I don't think politics is going to have much to say about that. But yeah, the Warnock and Walker runoff seems to be especially important. And yeah, I'm guilty. I didn't vote. It was essentially, I don't see this making a big difference. I mean, when it comes to things that I think are politically electrifying or what have you. I look at like climate change because of just how absolutely important it is for us to get our carbon footprint down, or not carbon, but our carbon emissions, I meant to say, down a lot by as soon as possible. And when your Congress is bought and paid for, Democrats and Republicans both, by the top 10 polluters and carbon emitters who are doing everything they can to absolutely make sure that they will not be stopped from emitting carbon, it really kind of is a both sides argument. Yeah, certainly there's a lot of things you can say that they're not on, but go ahead. Disabuse me of the notion that liberals and Democrats and Republicans and conservatives in Congress aren't all bought by the same corporations. They are. That they are. You look at there's a very very interesting video out there about how your vote doesn't matter, where they show that unless you're in the 10% earners, the top 10%, your effect on policy is exactly the same. 30%, like 30% of the time it'll happen, and 70% of the time it won't, unless you're in the top 10%. Then it will follow an actual trend line where, if 50% of the top 10 want something to happen, 50% chance it's going to happen. There's been some debate over whether or not the studies involved in that were well conducted or done to good enough standards, but the plain fact that it could even, that enough of that data came out that their conclusion, and just look around. I mean, it's not hard to look and see that average people, conservative, liberal, it doesn't matter. They don't get what they want unless they're in the top 10%. I don't know how clear you can be about that, but it's going to be it's going to be interesting to see, because the other interesting thing about this is what's cool. The youngest bloc, the Gen Zs and whatnot, overwhelmingly showed up and voted blue. America's heading for an interesting future, to be sure. I don't hold out hope that it will change quickly, or quickly enough to avert some of the catastrophes that we're heading to with climate change, with just demographics. I mean, the book that I was reading, I'm going through and listening to it for a second time. America is actually going to do pretty well with regards to the coming demographic collapse. So we'll have that, and maybe culturally, this will motivate us to export our good fortune rather than build walls and keep everybody out. Now, it's possible that it could go the other way. We could build walls and keep everybody out and alienate the world and hoard our riches to ourselves. I don't think Gen Z is about that life. And I think that they're going to look around the world. They're going to see the challenges that everybody's facing. They're going to realize that we can do a lot to help them. And they're going to be motivated to do that. This solidarity kind of movement in millennials and Gen Z and younger, people and what have you, where they want their time to matter. They want respect as human beings, so that they can have time to have lives and families, and they're not just machines to work and what have you. These are good ideologies that our culture could really, really use. So I'm going to be watching that one kind of closely, but more importantly, I think it would be better to watch how this new, lack of a red wave, but this new approach into politics, where we're heading for that more progressive thing, affects our output into the world. Because how we're going to treat our neighbors. I think I would love to promote the idea that yes, China is going to be very bad off in the future. Russia is going to be very bad off. All kinds of Asian Pacific countries, from Japan and Taiwan is its own place. It's the CCP might want to say something else, but Thailand and all of those Asia, the Middle Eastern countries, even Russia, right? Like Russia's in the grips of a really, really bad situation right now with a bunch of really bad people. It doesn't mean that Russian people are bad and whatnot. But I think that we can both live by example and export this wave of self-respect and not, this it's almost like, this push that just happened in our elections towards anti-fascism. We could export that. I think that should be our number one export, is that we should start pushing that into the world. How good would that be? But that's a cultural thing, and I don't think that politics has anything to do about that. I think that if we can make a global social media movement that pushes us towards being better with each other with its algorithms rather than conflicting with each other, we could begin to export upon the world and onto ourselves, because God knows we need it too, our better natures. I hope that rising generations take that upon themselves, that they look around and say, the world's in a really shitty place, and we want to help and we want to do the right thing because it's the right thing, not because it's profitable, not because it's going to earn you points or what have you, but because we have an individual responsibility to export this. So yeah, I didn't vote. There was a couple, there was plenty of time, no excuse in regardless of times. I just didn't feel like it really mattered in the long run. The Warnock thing and Walker going to show up on December or in December and see if we can't get Warnock through, and hope that we can keep pushing this anti-fascist kind of movement culturally, which I think is a bigger thing. But again, I don't think the government's going to do that. I don't think that just putting Warnock in and getting Walker out and keeping them in there is going to do that. I think that engaging with people about these ideas more and more. I mean, it's already having an effect. The Republicans are constantly now hating on Trump because he's the reason he put up with it. Right. We're trying to get rid of Trumpism, and we need to export that to the world. So I just wanted to put that out there, let you guys know that I'm okay. I want to do, well, I'll do something, I don't know, for a tribute for my mom and for Buttons and Larry and what have you. I don't know if I don't know how I'm going to do that, but I might put that video up next week or next video after this one. Because I'm going to be done listening to I'm going to be done listening the second time going through that one. I want to do some highlights and whatnot and get a video out about that Master and His Emissary. That book was a mind screw, let me tell you. And I really want to gush about it, but I want to because I bookmarked a bunch of quotes and stuff that I want to go back and listen to again. So look forward to that one in the future. Thank you all for being here. See you next time. Bye.